Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanapano Premamritam Manidhi Dhiradhi Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksuran Militanyena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manavistam Sdavitanyena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Karamaya Dadanti Swapadantikam. First of all, I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Diksha and Shiksha Guru, Nityalila Pravishna Om Vishnupad Asatara Sata Sisimad, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Then I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Shiksha and Sannyas Guru, Nityalila Pravishna Om Vishnupad Asatara Sata Sisimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Then I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my two Shiksha Gurus, Srila Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharti Goswami Maharaj. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of the Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna Bhagavan, the speaker of Bhagavad Gita. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Arjuna, the hero of Bhagavad Gita. I offer my humble obeisances unto Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of all the Vaishnavas who wrote the commentaries on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srila Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, the original Srila Sridhar Swami Pad, and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Baldev Vijayabhushan, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and all the great Vaishnavacharyas who have written commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, my Dandavat Pranams. And my pranams unto all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who are present here today. Dandavat Pranam, Dandavat Pranam. So today we're going to speak about the 4 verses. We're going to start. We may do 1 or 2 because we're going to be reading the commentaries and going into them in some great depth. There's commentaries by Srila Prabhupada, and he approaches the Chatur Shloki from the perspective of Advaigyan Paratattva. And we will explain what is Advaigyan Paratattva and what is that perspective that he's talking about. Srila Narayan Maharaj also invokes a lot of Advaigyan Paratattva in his commentary. Srila Baldev Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur begins to express some ideas about rasa, which are contained in these 4 slokas. But it is Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj who is the one who gives the in-depth explanation of the rasa tattva that is contained in these 4 verses, and he, as all great acharyas do in the lineage, offers his respect to Sri Baldev Vijayabhushan and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who he says have mentioned these conceptions in their commentaries. I don't happen to have either a commentary, I don't happen to have the full commentaries of either one of those persons, either Baldev Vijayabhushan or Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I know some time ago there was the publication of a Bhagavad Gita by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary on Bhagavad Gita by the Krishna Balaram group. They published one. But that was, I don't have a copy of it. I don't know where it is. And Baldev Vijayabhushan's commentary is there in Vrindavan. at that bookstore. There's one bookstore there on Loy Bazaar. Ras Bihari Lal. He has a copy of Baladeva Jabushan's commentary on the Gita. I can't carry books all over the place, and I don't have a place to stay to put the books, so maybe in the future I may end up staying here, and then I can start putting books. So, okay. What do we have here? So, this is called Chatur Shloki, all right? Now, in Srimad Bhagavatam, we also have a Chatur Shloki. Chatur means 4. Shloki means verses. So it's the 4 verses that summarize the essence of the book. In fact, when Krishna first explains the science of Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna consciousness to Lord Brahma, he only speaks 4 verses. That's it. The entire Bhagavatam is 4 verses. It's all in those 4 verses. And those are the 4 verses that Narada gives to Vyas. That Brahma gives to Narada, Brahma gives to Narada those 4 verses. Now, when Narada comes to speak with Vyas, he actually tells Vyas, everything is in your heart. Now, by my blessing, go inside and take all this knowledge out. And then he edits the Srimad Bhagavatam, which he had already written, to include the 10th canto and all the Leelas of Krishna's pastimes. So this is the etiology of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, I bring this point up, because the acharyas who have written commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita and have explained the science of Bhagavad Gita have identified the following 4 verses that we're going to speak on today as the Chatur Shloki of the Gita, as the essence of the Gita, that the entire Gita is contained within these 4. So in order for it to be the essence of the Gita, the essence of all transcendental knowledge, then it would have to contain all information all the way up to Prem and even to Radhadasyam. And what we will find in the commentary of Srila Sridhar Maharaj is that, in fact, it does indicate Radhadasyam, these 4 verses. So the common scholars who write commentaries on Bhagavad Gita cannot know this or cannot express this. It was Srila Baladeva Jabushan and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur who were first to indicate the depths of this conception in the Chatur Shloki of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, as I've said, hints at it also. But Srila Sridhar Maharaj decided to leave this as one of his lasting legacies. And it's a great legacy. It's a really beautiful, beautiful commentary that he's given on these 8 verses in order to help us to understand the great depths of transcendental information that are being given in the Gita. So we'll start out with Srila Prabhupada's commentary. In the first verse, we're at verse number 8 in this commentary of this Bhagavad Gita, verse number 8 of chapter 10. And after these 4 verses up to chapter 11, when Krishna finishes speaking these 4 verses, Arjuna then offers glorification of Krishna in 12, 13, 14, and 15. And then in verse number 16, he asks the next question, the 9th question in the series of 16 questions that are driving the narrative of the Bhagavad Gita. So, verse is Aham sarvatsya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddhabhava samanvitaha. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who know this perfectly engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Srila Prabhupada's purport. A learned scholar who has studied the Vedas perfectly and has information from the authorities like Lord Chaitanya, and who knows how to apply both the material and spiritual, knows how to apply these teachings, can understand that Krishna is the origin of everything in both the material and spiritual worlds. And because he knows this perfectly, he becomes firmly fixed in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. So here Srila Prabhupada is pointing out that having knowledge of Krishna's all-pervasive powers as being the source of everything material and spiritual gives you the ability to become firmly fixed in the devotional service of Krishna. Such a person can never be deviated by any amount of nonsensical commentaries or by fools. All Vedic literature agrees that Krishna is the source of Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and all other demigods. In the Atharva Veda it is said, Yo Brahmanam vidati purvam, yo vai vedamscha gapayati sma Krishna. It was Krishna who, in the beginning, instructed Brahma in the Vedic knowledge and who disseminated Vedic knowledge in the past. Then again it is said, Ata purusho ha vai narayano kamayata praja srijeya itya upakramya. Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayan desired to create living entities. Again it is said, Narayanad Brahma Jayate, Narayanad Prajapati Prajayate, Narayanad Indro Jayate, Narayanad Astau Vasavo Jayante, Narayanad Ekadasha Rudra Jayante, Narayanad Dwarasaditya. From Narayan, Brahma is born. From Narayan, the patriarchs are also born, the Prajapatis. From Narayan, Indra is born. From Narayan, the 8 Vasus are born. From Narayan, the 11 Rudras are born. And from Narayan, the 12 Adityas are born. So we see here that Srila Prabhupada is quoting verses from the Vedas because there are 2 classes of literature in the Vedic literature. One is called Shruti and one is called Smriti. Now, Shruti is the 4 Vedas and the 108 Upanishads. And Smriti is the 18 Puranas and the Itihasas. The difference I've explained before between the Puranas and the Itihasas is that the Itihasas are chronological, not sequential, chronological. The Itihasas are chronological histories like Mahabharata and Ramayana, which have a beginning, a middle, and an end, where the Puranas are not chronological histories. They're teaching certain instructions. And so they will teach one history to give you the beginning of the understanding of that instruction. Then another history from another time and place to explain the instruction further. So each concept of the instruction is explained by a history, but the history is not in chronological order. There are sections of the Bhagavatam that have a chronological history, but not the entire Bhagavatam. It is not chronological. So why is Srila Prabhupada quoting mantras from the Atharva Veda? Because the Vedas are accepted by all classes of men in India. There are some classes of men in India who don't accept Smriti, but they accept Shruti. They don't accept the Puranas, but they accept the Vedas. So Srila Prabhupada is going through great pains to emphasize that the understanding which is being presented by Krishna here in the Bhagavad Gita coincides with the original Shruti Vedic mantras from the four Vedas. This is important because that establishes Krishna's authority as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is why he initially quotes the verse in which Krishna's name is mentioned. It was Krishna who in the beginning instructed Brahma in Vedic knowledge and who disseminated Vedic knowledge in the past. Krishna himself will say as much in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, verse number 7, where Sarvasya chaham ridi sanuvisto matasmriter jnanam apoanam cha vedaischa saver aham eva vedyo vedantakrit vedavit eva jasaham. So in this way he establishes this principle that is being discussed here in this Atharva Veda verse. So Srila Prabhupada is doing this because this is part of the conception of Advaigyan Paratattva. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, Bhakti Rakshak Sridev, Srila Sridhar Maharaj will discuss the point about the verse 1 to 11 in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in which the conception is given of Krishna being Advaigyan Paratattva. Vedante tat tattva vidam, Vedanti tat tattva vidam, tattvam yajjnanam advayam. Vedanti tat tattva vidam, tattvam yajjnanam advayam. So this Advai Gyan, this Advai Gyan Paratattva. So Vedanti tat tattva vidam, those who are knowers of Vedanta, which is considered Vedanta, the end of the Vedas, the supreme knowledge. Those who are knowers of Vedanta, Vedanti tat tattva vidam, tattvam yajnanam, they know that the Advaigyan Paratattva has three aspects: Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti. Everything emanates from Sri Krishna. He is the non-dual substance who is the source of everything. And this is explained when we look at the Brahma Samhita, when we look at the Srimad Bhagavatam, and we look at the different scriptures we see. As I was discussing this morning with some of you here about the creation, from Lord Krishna's right side manifests Balaram. And Balaram then is the one who manifests all the paraphernalia and all of the different things, the substance, okay? Because he's Sandini Shakti. He manifests the substance, which is the place of Goloka and Navadvip, Dham, in the lotus flower, which is Goloka, okay? He manifests the rivers, the trees, the mountains, the flute, the buffalo horn, the cows, etc., and all the jivas that are Nityasiddha, eternal associates of Krishna, are manifest there from Lord Balaram. Okay? And then Lord Balaram expands into Mula Sankarshan. And Mula Sankarshan then manifests all the paraphernalia for Ayodhya Dham, Dwarka Dham, and Mathura Dham, and places all the jivas there in those dhams, and puts all the paraphernalia there. And then Mula Sankarshan expands into Mahasankarshan, and Mahasankarshan expands into all the Vishnu forms, and all the Vaikuntha planets, and all of the paraphernalia there, and places all the jivas there. And then Mahasankarshan expands into Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu places the jivas by his glance into the pradhan, the undifferentiated material elements, which then are created into this material world. And what is that pradhan? Radharani, which expands from the left side, who expands from the left side of Krishna, who's the heart of Krishna, who's his Ladini Shakti, his Prem Shakti, his bliss and his heart and his soul. She manifests all the gopis, even the elder gopis, even Yasoda, and all of the Lakshmis in Vaikuntha, and all of the queens of Dwarka, and all of them are different expansions of Radharani. And Radharani also, through her manifestation of Ramadevi, who's Lakshmi, Ramadevi's shadow is this pradhan, the 1/4 portion of the universal creation in which the material world exists. And the personality of Durga Devi is the goddess of this pradhan, of this material nature. So we see from the right and left side, everything manifests. Srila Gurudev makes this point when he gave a long dissertation in Badger, California about Advai Gyan Paratattva. And I got the recording of that, the video of that, and I watched it several times until I very clearly understood all the details of the points that he was trying to express here. There's 3 main points. 1, nothing is separate from Krishna. Nothing is separate from Krishna because Balaram and Radha come from Krishna, and then all their expansions. So everything is connected ultimately back to one source, one Advai Gyan Paratattva, Sri Krishna. Well, nothing is separate from Krishna, material or spiritual. Aham sarvasya prabhavo, mata sarvam pravar. I am the source of all material and spiritual worlds. Okay? And nothing is equal to Krishna. Because he's the source of everything, nothing is equal to him. And nothing is greater than Krishna. So from the perspective of Advai Gyan Paratattva, Krishna is the supreme deity. And Srila Prabhupada, in order to establish this point, is using verses from the Shruti, because those are accepted by all classes of men in society. In Vedic society, those who accept Smriti already accept Shruti, but there are some who accept Shruti and don't accept Smriti. So in order to get to the heart of this whole thing, Srila Prabhupada is quoting these verses from the Vedas, which is Shruti, to establish that indeed Krishna is that Advai Gyan Paratattva. He is that non-dual substance. He is the source of everything. He is the person who is the source of all material and spiritual worlds. Everything emanates from him. Nothing is separate from him. Nothing is equal to him. Nothing is greater than him. Now that's Advai Gyan Paratattva. Then there's Rasa Tattva. And what we will see when Srila Sridhar Maharaj's commentary is how he brings Radha Tattva out of this, Rasa Tattva, and he brings out the conception of Radha Dasyam. So this is very brilliant because in Rasa Tattva, Krishna is not supreme. Radha is supreme and we serve her. So like this, we come to understand that based on the Tattva, the supremacy of Radha and Krishna, who are one but have become two for the purpose of Rasa, how it exists, how the conceptions exist. It is also said in the same Vedas, Brahmanyo Devaki Putra. The son of Devaki, Krishna, is the supreme personality. So this is important because it can be understood from 2 perspectives. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj brings out the point that when Shankaracharya, Sri Shankaracharya, wrote his poem glorifying Srimad Bhagavad Gita and was talking about Krishna being the cowherd boy and he mentions him as the son of Devaki, he's talking about Devaki, meaning Yasoda. Because this is another name of Yasoda, is Devaki. She has another name. So this Devaki Putra could be taken as Devaki of Vasudeva and Devaki, or it can be taken as Devaki, Mother Yasoda. Then, another Vedic mantra. Eko vai Narayana asin, na Brahma, na Ishano, Napo, Nagni, Sama, Neme, Dvaya Prithvi, na Nakshatrani, na Surya, sa Ekaki, na Ramate, tasya dhyananta, tasya yatra chandogai, kriya manastakadi, samgyanaka, stuti stoma stomam uchate. In the beginning of the creation, there was only the Supreme Personality, Narayan. There was no Brahma, no Shiva, no fire, no moon, no stars in the sky, and no sun. There was only Krishna, who creates all and enjoys all. This is Advaita Paratattva. He's establishing Krishna is the source of everything. Now he moves to the Puranas. In the many Puranas it is said that Lord Shiva was born from the highest, the Supreme Lord Krishna, and the Vedas say that it is the Supreme Lord, the creator of, that it is the Supreme Lord, the creator of Brahma and Shiva, who is to be worshipped. This is a very interesting point, because some people, they argue that no, Shiva must be God, because in the Ramayana we see that Lord Ram worships Lord Shiva in order to get across the ocean. Different, they all have different arguments about these. But Srila Bharti Maharaj and his brilliance, very easy to understand who is superior, Shiva or Vishnu. Very easy. The Ganges is the holy river. Where does the Ganges come from? The feet of Vishnu. Where does it land? On the head of Shiva. Srila Bharti Maharaj makes it very simple. Comes from the feet of Vishnu, lands on the head of Shiva. Shiva's catching the bath water from the feet of Vishnu. Therefore, Narayan is superior. In the Moksha Dharma, Krishna also says, Prajapatim charudram chapyaham eva srijami vaitau himam na vignanito mama maya vimohitau. The patriarchs, Shiva, and others are created by me, though they do not know that they are created by me because they are deluded by my illusory energy. In Varaha Purana, it is also said, Narayana paro devas tasmajjatas chaturamukha tasmadrudro bhavad deva saja sarva gnatam gata. Narayan is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and from him Brahma was born, from whom Shiva was born. Lord Krishna is the source of all generations, and he is called the most efficient cause of everything. He says that because everything is born of me, I am the original source of all, and everything is under me, no one is above me. So this is Advaita Paratattva. Everything is under me, no one is above me, no one is equal to me, everything comes from me, nothing is separate from me. Advaita Paratattva. There is no supreme controller other than Krishna. One who understands Krishna in such a way, from a bona fide spiritual master and from Vedic literature, who engages all his energy in Krishna consciousness becomes a truly learned man. In comparison to him, all others who do not know Krishna properly are but fools. Only a fool would consider Krishna to be an ordinary man. Avijananti ma mudha manushim tanum ashritam. Mudha, fools. Krishna is saying in 9th chapter of Gita, 11th verse, that those persons who do not understand my superior nature, which is changelessly supreme, who deride me when I descend in my human-like form, they are mudha, fools. So, Srila Prabhupada is following in the footsteps of Krishna. He is saying, you don't understand Krishna, you think he's an ordinary man, then fool. A Krishna-conscious person should not be bewildered by fools. Don't be bewildered by fools. He should avoid all unauthorized commentaries and interpretations on Bhagavad Gita and proceed in Krishna consciousness with determination and firmness. So it's very important that when we read the commentaries of Bhagavad Gita, that they're in our Gaudiya Vaishnav line, that we follow in the Gaudiya Siddhanta. We follow in the Bhaktivinoda Dhara, the flow of Siddhanta, which is coming from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This is the most important. It's emphasized by Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj in his Arti prayer to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, that in performing the Arti, the conch shell contains the Dhara, the conceptions of the Gaudiya Siddhanta from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and which pour continuously and uninterrupted and will never disappear. They will always exist for all future times. All right, so this is Srila Prabhupada's commentary on this verse, the emphasis, Advaigyan Paratattva, the establishment of Krishna as the supreme source of everything, material and spiritual. Nothing is separate from Krishna. Nothing is equal to Krishna. Nothing is superior to Krishna. Now we will look at the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, who brings in some conceptions of Rasa Tattva. Because at the end of this verse it says, Bhava Samanvita, filled with ecstasy, with bhav. This word, Bhava Samanvita, the persons who are worshiping me, Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha, those persons who, learned persons, Buddha, Bhava Samanvitaha, who have comprehended my position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the source of everything material and spiritual. Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha, they're filled with ecstasy, bhajante, and they worship me. Iti matva bhajante mam, Buddha Bhava Samanvitaha. They worship me with ecstasy. They are filled with ecstasy. So, both Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Srila Sridhar Maharaj are going to touch on this conception and bring in Rasa Tattva. While explaining his vibhutis, majestic features, which is characterized by supreme Aishvarya, Sri Bhagavan says, now inner dialogue again, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Krishna talking to him in his heart, I am the original cause and source of everything material and spiritual. Inspired by my Antaryami Swarup, the whole universe engages in work, and by the inspiration coming from my avatars, such as Narda, all become engaged in the sadhana practice of bhakti, jnana, tapasya, and karma, etc., and the sadhya, attainment of their respective goals. In defining ekantika bhakti yoga, Sri Bhagavan says, iti matva, being fixed in this type of theistic knowledge, that I am the source of everything material and spiritual, and endowed with bhavs, such as dasya and sakya, servitorship and friendship, and those who perform my bhajan are panditas, those who know the essence of the Vedas. So he is speaking of it only now from dasya and sakya. But Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur hint at the conception of Madhurya and talk about that in their commentaries, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj does the full exposition of that in his commentary. He shows how Radhadasyam is actually in this very verse. Now we're going to look at Srila Gurudev's commentary, which, interestingly enough, seems to be more of an emphasis on Advaita Paratattva. He doesn't touch on Rasa Tattva. Sri Krishna is the origin of both mundane and spiritual creations. Such Tattva Gyan is undoubtedly attainable from the instructions and mercy of the Tattvavit Vaishnavas. Though Tattvavit means one who knows all Tattva. Only with the help of such transcendental knowledge, Tattva Gyan, can the thoughts of sadhus become fixed in Shuddha Bhakti to Sri Krishna. One cannot acquire pure Tattva Gyan. One cannot acquire pure Tattva Gyan by receiving instruction that has come from modern concocted commentaries which are devoid of bhakti, by hearing from bewildered so-called gurus who are bereft of Tattva Gyan, or by receiving instructions from so-called bhaktas. So Srila Narayana Maharaj's commentary falls in line with all of the points that Srila Prabhupada is talking about. He's making the same points, the same emphasis, that it's about Advaita Paratattva. He's going to mention the verses now in that regard, and that we should not be deluded by unscrupulous commentaries, and we should not be deluded or bewildered by so-called gurus or so-called bhaktas. Okay, we should follow the line, the Gaudiya Vedanta Siddhanta, coming from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Aham, now he says, this is also confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 7th chapter, verse number 50. Aham brahmascha sarvascha jagata karanam param atmeshvara upadrashta svayam drig aishvish avisheshana. Lord Vishnu replied, Brahma, Shiva, and I are the supreme cause of the material manifestation. I am the supersoul and the self-sufficient witness. But in one sense, we are non-different because everything rests in me. So here he emphasizes that Lord Vishnu, who's speaking here in the 4th canto, is saying that Brahma, Shiva, and I are the supreme cause of the material manifestation. I am the supersoul and the self-sufficient witness. Therefore, in one sense, we are non-different because everything rests in me. So he's saying, yes, they're non-different from me, but it's because they rest in me, because I am their source. In the Varaha Purana, it also states, Narayana paro devas tasmaj jatas chatur mukha tasmad rudro bhavad deva sacha sarva gnatam gata. Sri Narayan is the Supreme Lord, and from him alone Brahma, Rudra, etc. are born. Narayan is omniscient. This Narayan is the Vaibhav Vilas of Krishna. Elsewhere in the Vedas, Krishna is also described as the son of Devaki, Brahmanya Devaki Putra, Narayana Upanishad, 4th verse. So in this way, Srila Narayana Maharaj very much follows in the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada, giving a commentary very similar to his, coming to the same conclusions. Not as extensive, but very similar. Now we're going to take a look at, I forgot to keep the place here, let me keep the place. Okay, chapter 10, sloka 9, perfect. Now we're going to take a look at I'm also going to read Srila Sridhar Maharaj's translation of the verse, because it's very interesting how he uses the verse itself to incorporate the points that he wants, the way he translates the verse in English to incorporate the points that he wants. It's a very extensive translation of the verse in which he incorporates many subtle meanings from the different verses. I've been looking online in the Sanskrit dictionary, and we have no idea at how extensive the Sanskrit language really is. First of all, it's very mathematical, so it's entirely scientific. But beyond that, there's multiple meanings for every word. Now, I'm looking for the Devanagari for a word like guna, which means the qualities of the modes of material nature. That's only one of about 30 different meanings for the word guna. Guna has so many meanings, and it depends on the words that appear before it, the words that appear after it, whether it's a noun, an adjective, a verb, everything. It's very, very complex. Very, very complex. So, very interesting. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he really uses this to his full advantage. I am Krishna, the sweet absolute. I am the root cause of the all-comprehensive aspect of the absolute, the all-permeating aspect of the absolute, and also the personal aspect of the absolute, the master of all potencies, who commands the respect of everyone, Lord Narayan of Vaikuntha. So he indicates this, Vedanti tat tattva vidam tattvam yajnanam adva. He's talking about Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti. I am the root cause of the all-comprehensive aspect of the Absolute, which is Brahman. I am the root cause of the all-permeating aspect of the Absolute, which is Paramatma, which is everywhere, in between every atom, in every atom. And also the personal aspect of the Absolute Master of all potencies, who commands the respect of everyone, Lord Narayan of Vaikuntha. So he establishes this Advaigyan Paratattva in the first sentence. Instead of just saying, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo, I am the Lord, I am the source of everything spiritual and material, he gives a more detailed explanation of what that means. The universe of mundane and divine flow, every attempt and movement, the Vedas and allied scriptures which guide everyone's worship are all initiated by me alone. Realizing this hidden treasure, the virtuous souls who are blessed with fine theistic intellect surpass the standards of duty and non-duty and embrace the paramount path of love divine, Raga Marg, spontaneous devotional service, and adore me forever. So he's bringing in Rag Bhakti. He's going right to spontaneous devotional service. So now we look at his commentary, and it's just a brilliant, brilliant commentary. Verses 8 through 11 are the four principal verses of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. The ontological substance of the book is contained within these four essential verses, beginning with Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. Everything emanates from me. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 1-11, the three main conceptions of the Absolute are given as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, which I've given you that verse already. Brahman is the all-comprehensive aspect of the Absolute. Paramatma is the all-pervading aspect of the Absolute, and Bhagavan is the personal conception of the Absolute. The general definition of the word Bhagavan is given as Aishvarasya Samagrasya Viryasya Yasha Shriya Jnana Vairagyayos Chaiva Sanam Bhaga Iti Gana. This is the Vishnu Purana, 6th canto, 5th chapter, 47th verse. Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord, is thus defined as he who is inseparably replete with the six inconceivable qualities of wealth, power, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. The characteristic of Bhagavan as Lord Narayan is that all kinds of potencies are personally controlled by him. So, Srila Prabhupada, he uses this Bhagavan. Bhaga means opulences, van, with, full of, or with these opulences, these six opulences. And he points out that the word Bhagavan means that not only is he is inseparably replete, means that he is full of those opulences in an unlimited manner. There is no one more wealthy than God, than Krishna. No one more powerful, more famous, more beautiful, more knowledgeable, or more renounced. All of these opulences, Prabhupada said, Krishna has these in full. Srila Sridhar Maharaj uses the word inseparably replete, but the way Prabhupada expresses it in English is a very simple and direct form. He is full of all six opulences, and no one surpasses him in those six opulences, which is part of the conception of Advaigyan Paratattva, that no one is equal to or greater than Krishna. There is no one more powerful than Krishna. There is no one even equal to the power of Krishna. Not even Narayan is equal to the power of Krishna. There is no one more beautiful than Krishna. There is no one more wealthy than Krishna. All of these things, all of these opulences, they are with Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The characteristic of Bhagavan, Srila Narayan Maharaj is using the word Lord Narayan here, as Lord Narayan, is that all kinds of potencies are personally controlled by him. However, Srila Jiva Goswami has given a special and particularly fine interpretation. Bhagavan means Bhajaniya Guna Vishishya. His nature is such that whoever comes into contact with him cannot resist serving him. No one can resist feeling moved to worship and adore his charming personality. As Lord Krishna, he attracts the love of everyone. So he starts out by saying the characteristic of Bhagavan as Lord Narayan is that all kinds of potencies are personally controlled by him. However, he uses Srila Jiva Goswami's commentary from his Sandarbhas to point out the exquisite quality of Sri Krishna, that his nature is such that whoever comes in contact with him, no one can resist serving him. No one can resist feeling moved to worship and adore his charming personality. And that charming personality that he's talking about is Vrajendranandan Shyam of Braj. Lord Krishna, he attracts everyone, the love of everyone. That's why the name Krishna, all attractive. Therefore, by the word Sarvasya, Lord Krishna indicates I am Swayam Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord himself. I am the origin of not only Brahman, the all-comprehensive aspect, and Paramatma, the all-pervading aspect. I am also the origin of the master of all potencies, who commands the respect of everyone, Lord Narayan of Vaikuntha. I am the origin of Lord Narayan. Therefore, I am Bhagavan. I am the one full in all six opulences. Matta sarvam pravartate. Every attempt and movement begins from me, including the methods by which everyone worships and serves me in devotion. Every attempt and movement, as Krishna says in one place, I think in this Vibhuti section in the 10th chapter, he'll say, not a blade of grass moves without me. Everything, every attempt and movement begins from me. Now he gives a very nice verse, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, from the Katha Upanishad, which is part of the Vedas. Nayamatma pravachanena labhyo na midhaya na bahuna shrutena yam evaisha vrinute tena labhyas tasya yaisa atma vivrinute tanum svam. The Lord cannot be known by copious logic, intelligence, or deep study of the scriptures. But he reveals himself personally to the soul, who, having become eager to engage in his devotional service, prays to him for his mercy. In this way, Mattva Sarvam Pravartate, I am the first to reveal to the public. Worship me in this way. I appear as Guru, and through him, I worship myself. Krishna saying. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Guru is described by the Lord as his own direct manifestation. This is the 11th canto, 17th chapter, verse 27. Acharya mam vijaniyam navamanyeta karichit na marta buddha suyave sarva deva mayo guru. Very important verse, very important verse. Lord Krishna says to his devotee Uddhava, you should know the bona fide spiritual master as my very self. Never dishonor him. The nature of Gurudev is everything that is godly, and he should never be envied by ascribing one's mundane conception of place, time, and circumstance upon him. Sarvadeva Maya Guru, he's the sum total of all the demigods, because he is the manifestation of Krishna. He is in human-like form. He is appearing in this world. Of course, he is not Vishnu Tattva, but he is as good as in that sense, and therefore he has all potency, all power. Real Guru, true Guru. I know from my experience with Srila Prabhupada that he had these powers. Srila Prabhupada was very aware of everything. There was a debate one time. Several of my godbrothers, unfortunately, did not understand Srila Prabhupada correctly. They ascribed material conceptions to his personality and his behavior. They sometimes referred to him as senile. They sometimes referred to him as a man who, like every other man who was dying in this world, wanted to beg forgiveness of the people he had made transgressions against. So it was nothing special that he asked that his godbrothers to forgive him, because every man, it's an ordinary thing, that every man wants forgiveness when he's leaving this world. So like this, they tried to diminish Srila Prabhupada on so many levels. And there was, and it's not a lot of them, it's just a few, a select few. And Madhavananda, who was just here, that god brother of mine who was just here, he was in a dispute with the person who was appointed as GBC for England after Shyamsundar left his position as GBC of England. This other person came, my other godbrother, as the GBC. And there was some dispute about how things should be organized. Madhavananda had made many, many life members, Indian life members. He had brought in a lot of income to the Bhaktivedanta Manor. He used that money to help get buses for the devotees to travel around the United Kingdom and distribute books and do festival programs. And things were very successful. It was different than the program that was being done in some of the other countries where there was just vans going out and selling books on the streets and in the parking lots. But he was doing this in this way, and it was still book distribution, still engaging people in serving Krishna, etc. So when the new GBC came in, he wanted to remove him from his position of managing things in the manor, and he wanted to appoint someone else as the president. And so there was some dispute between them. And Madhavananda wrote a letter to Srila Prabhupada and asked Srila Prabhupada if they could have an election, because a lot of the devotees wanted to have an election to vote for the president. So he said, could we have an election? Could we have the devotees vote and decide who should be the president of the temple? Because a lot of devotees want me, and some devotees want the other person. So it's not clear who should be the leader of the temple. So Srila Prabhupada wrote back, and he thanked him for his service and for all the life members that he made and the books he was distributing and so on. And then he told him that it's fine in Western countries. You boys and girls believe in democracy. You want to have an election. You want to vote for your president. Okay. I give you permission. You can have an election, and you can vote for the president of the temple. And then at the end, he said, as far as I am concerned, I vote for Madhavananda. So with that, we thought, okay, then there's, why is there even an election? If Prabhupada is voting for Madhavananda, then there shouldn't be any question. We should just say, okay, Madhavananda's president, because Prabhupada voted for him. But this GBC was determined to have his particular person be the president of the temple. And so because this was his decision and this was his determination, he insisted on having the election, and he made the, in my opinion, very ignorant and rude comment that Srila Prabhupada doesn't know everything. That he doesn't know what's going on here. That he doesn't understand the situation. And I am the person who's the local GBC. I've been appointed by him, I've been empowered by him, and I know what needs to be done here. But Srila Prabhupada doesn't know. And so the devotees asked me to give some class about this. So I quoted this verse, Sarvadeva Maya Guru. I said, how is it that the person who's the sum total of the demigods doesn't know? How could he not know? The spiritual master knows. Narada Muni knows. When Dhruva needs a guru, Narada Muni shows up. When Vyas needs the instruction, Narada Muni shows up. Whenever there's a complication, who shows up? Narada Muni. There is omniscience in the guru. The Guru knows. Srila Narayana Maharaj once said, I'm closer to you than the air that you breathe. We have to understand the depth of the omniscience of the Guru. There's even some verses in this 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam talking about mystic yoga and talking about how certain mystic yogis, when they get to a certain level of consciousness, that they rise up to the layers in the universe where the mind and intelligence is, in the atmosphere, and they can hear the conversations in the minds of everyone in the universe, and therefore they know what everyone is thinking in the whole universe. And there are yogis who have this power. If a mystic yogi could have this power, what to speak of a pure devotee who is directly sent from the spiritual world by Krishna? How could he not have this power? It is said in the Nectar of Devotion that the 8 mystic opulences and the opulence of liberation and material opulences of wealth, power, fame, beauty, etc., all wait as maidservants, handmaids, at the lotus feet of those persons who are absorbed in pure bhakti. A pure devotional service is so powerful that everything else becomes subservient to it, including all mystic powers. So the ability to know what's going on, not difficult. Eventually, I left there because I could not support the dispute. I went to India, and I was in India with Srila Prabhupada in Bombay, and one of my god sisters sent a letter to Srila Prabhupada, and they asked Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, there's been a dispute in the temple, and the GBC is saying one of our god brothers, Bhagavat Prabhu, said that you know everything that is in the heart of all your disciples, and you know what's going on in all of your temples, that you know all of this. And the GBC is saying that you're not a magician, and that this is some kind of magic trick, and that you're not like that, and that you don't know these things, and you don't understand them, and that we're foolish to make such declarations. So I want to know from you, personally, can you tell me, do you know everything that's going on in the hearts of your disciples and in all your temples? So the way Srila Prabhupada used to write a letter was that the secretary would sit before him and read the letter. And Srila Prabhupada would answer the letter. He would give his response. The secretary would make the notes. Then he would type up the letter. Then he would give it to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada would read the letter, edit the letter, and then he would sign it. So when you got a letter from Prabhupada, it was Prabhupada. It was his words. Those were the way we communicated in those days. We didn't have email and Skype and WhatsApp and all that stuff. So Srila Prabhupada began the response like this. For a greatly advanced devotee of the Lord, he can know what's going on in the hearts of all of his disciples and in all of his temples. So the secretary responded by saying, so I should tell her that you know this? Prabhupada said, I didn't say that. I didn't say that I know it. I said that a greatly advanced devotee knows. I am not a greatly advanced devotee. I am not even a devotee. I am just trying to be a devotee. You can imagine Srila Prabhupada is expressing the supreme humility, the Trinadapi Sunichena, at the deepest level. He once gave a lecture and he said, when Mahaprabhu said Trinadapi Sunichena, feeling lower than the straw in the street, more humble than the blade of grass, when he said that, at that moment he felt it. It wasn't that he was just writing it for us. Mahaprabhu felt that mood. And until you can feel that mood, you cannot achieve pure devotional service. Pure bhakti comes when you have this mood. This is why they say you have to wear that mantra around your neck as a necklace and always live in that mood. So here, Prabhupada was expressing it from a gut level, from an absolute level of pure, perfect Trinadapi Sunichena Tarodapi Suhishena, pure, perfect level of complete humility. I'm not even a devotee, Prabhupada said. I'm not even a devotee. And then the secretary said, so then I should tell her that for a greatly advanced pure devotee, that this is possible. He said, oh yes. For a greatly advanced pure devotee, this is a very easy thing. It is not difficult at all. So therefore, we can understand from this. So here, this verse is being given by Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Acharya mam vijaniyam. The Acharya is myself. He is non-different from me. Acharya mam vijaniyam navamanyeta karichit. You should never dishonor this person, because dishonoring him is dishonoring my very self. Na marta buddha suyave. You should never asuyave, you should never envy this person by ascribing one's own mundane conceptions of place, time, and circumstance upon him, because he's not in that. I will tell you another story now, a special story about Srila Prabhupada, and you can understand the power that was at his command, that he invoked when he needed to. And this is in Guru Das's book. Guru Das is my godbrother. He had a lot of intimate association with Prabhupada, so much intimate association. And he wrote about a time when he went to visit Prabhupada on the roof in Mayapur temple. And when he went up there to see him in the Mayapur temple, it was late at night. And Srila Prabhupada heard some noise out on the roof, and he came out of his room. Who's there? Oh, it's me, Srila Prabhupada. Oh, Guru Das, you've come. So Srila Prabhupada, Guru Das said that he and Srila Prabhupada were chatting about some things that were going on in Mayapur. And then it became quiet for a few minutes. And then Srila Prabhupada was looking over the land in Mayapur. And at that time, in Mayapur, it was very early on. It's not like today. You go to Mayapur, there's buildings everywhere. But at that time, there was our Lotus building and a few other Gaudiya Math buildings, and the rest of it was rice fields. It was for miles and miles. It was just empty. Nothing was there. Now there's buildings everywhere. Miles. And all the rice fields were drying up. Rice needs a lot of water. And there was no rain. No rain. So Srila Prabhupada was looking out over the fields, and he was looking up at the sky. And he turned to Guru Das and he said, the farmers there praying for rain because there was a big drought. Prabhupada knew. He could hear their prayers. Gurudas said that Prabhupada lifted his hand like this and said, "Let them have it." And when his hand came down, a huge flash of lightning shot into the air. And then thunder started rolling across the entire sky. And the whole sky broke open, raining, and the rains came down for days. This is Prabhupada. And any person who says that he doesn't know what he's doing, or he doesn't understand, or he's not here, or he's not a magician, or he's senile, or he's just saying I'm sorry because he's like every other ordinary old man, is a fool. He's a fool. He does not know the Siddhanta of this verse. Sarvadeva Maya Guru. The sum total of the demigods. Therefore, he can command Indra himself dispense rain. This is Prabhupada. Now, Srila Sridhar Maharaj connects all of this. He connects all of this because who are the gurus in our line? Starting with Lord Chaitanya, the Goswamis are all Manjaris. Srinivas, Shyamananda, and Narottam are Manjaris. Vishwanath, Baladev, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, all of them are Manjaris. They're all Manjaris. They're all servants of Radharani. So now he's saying, now he's going to explain. Furthermore, the Lord's finest potency is Srimati Radharani. Of course, there are many other eternal associates, but the highest order of devotional service is represented in Srimati Radharani. The Lord is therefore saying, my worship is shown by me. When he says Acharya Mam Vijana, the Acharya is not different from myself. My worship of me is shown by me when I come as the Acharya. But who is the greatest of all the devotees? I, as my finest potency, worship myself. Iti matva bhajante mam. Understanding this conception, the devotee will come to worship me always under the direction of my best worshipper, my finest potency and representation, Srimati Radharani, or Gurudev. Crossing her, the highest and most desirable form of service, to me is not possible. Radhadasyam, he says, is the servitorship of Srimati Radharani, is indicated here in this verse. Iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. Radhadasyam is indicated here, he says. Only those who are blessed with divine intelligence, Buddha bhava, who have Buddha, thine theistic intelligence. Only those who are blessed with this divine, fine theistic intelligence will be able to appreciate this, and not the persons with self-acquired intelligence from the Mayak quarter. The world of misconception. In this verse, the word Buddha refers to Sumedasha, as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32. Sankatan yagya prayer vijantihi sumedasha. Those who have sumedasha, fine theistic intelligence, will perform sankirtanan. They will perform Sankirtan Yagya in this age of Kali Yuga. And those who have Alpamedasha, they will worship some demigods for material pleasure. Persons of fine theistic intelligence arising from direct connection with the transcendental plane. Buddha refers to Sumedasha as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. These are persons of fine theistic intelligence arising from direct connection with the transcendental plane. The inner guidance and direction they receive is the outcome of Sukriti, divine merit acquired by the association of pure devotees. Bhava samanvitaha means rag samanvitaha. Anurag, love, and attraction, which is affinity, not by strictly following scriptural rules or drawn from any plane of loss and gain, but from bhav, inner divine inspiration. Devotion of this type is completely non-calculative, gyan shunya bhakti, as described by Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Anyubilashita shunyam gyanakamadi anavritam anakulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktir uttama. The highest devotion pleases the transcendental desires of Lord Krishna and is free from the external coverings of any pursuits based on action or knowledge or yoga. The most rare and elevated stage of devotion is the line of spontaneous devotion known as Rag Marg. In that line, guided by the Guru, an elevated pure devotee may gradually come to render service to a leader of one of the groups of Krishna's personal associates, who serve the Lord in his pastimes in friendship, Sakya-ras, parenthood, Vatsalya-ras, or consorthood, Madhurya-ras. And now he's taking it from the plane that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has talked about, Sakya and Vatsalya. Now he talks about servitude and Sakya. He talks about Dasya and Sakya. He's taking it from Sakya to Vatsalya to consorthood. And you're going to see why he's adding these two, this Vatsalya and consorthood, in the next verse. Because he indicates that he shows how in the next verse this concepts are being intimated by the words in the next verse. All of them. Servitorship, friendship, parental, and consorthood. In Vrindavan, the Lord is being served in spontaneous devotion by his friends such as Subal Saka, and by his parents, Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yasoda. Gopis, such as Lalita and Vishaka, serve him in conjugal love. But amongst all his associates and amongst all the gopis, the highest order of divine loving service is rendered to the Lord by Srimati Radharani. Therefore, the acme of Rag Marg is to render service unto Radharani, Radhadasyam. This is the highest goal of the Rupanuga Gaudiya Sampradaya, the followers of pure devotion as taught by Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada in the line of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So here he gives the final conclusion, the Siddhanta, the Bhakti Siddhanta, the Bhakti Vedanta, the final conclusion of the Vedas, the final conclusion of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, as expressed by the six Goswamis in their writings. That the final conclusion is Radhadasyam. This is the highest. Nothing is superior to this. Nothing is equal to this. Nothing is greater than this. This is the greatest thing, Radhadasyam. And although Krishna may be the source of everything material and spiritual, the best way to worship him is to worship the person who worships him best, the guru and the object of the guru's worship. Because all the gurus in our line are manjaris, servitors of Srimati Radhika in her group, and one of the groups that are serving her. And therefore, by worshiping the worshipper, Hari Sevaka Sevana Dharma Paro. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives this in his song Godruma Kanana Upadesh. This song he writes. In that song, he's glorifying about Godruma Dham, the place near Mayapur. And he says in that song, Hari Sevaka Sevana, service to the servant of Hari, Dharma Paro, is the Param Dharma. There is nothing superior to serving the servant of Krishna, the Vaishnavas. This is the highest thing. And we see Srila Bharati Maharaj tells so many stories, so many great stories about how his Guru Maharaj and many of the other Gaudiya Acharyas used to so highly value serving the Vaishnavas. They made that their number one priority, always. So this is the conclusion of this first verse. It encompasses Advai Gyan Paratattva, that Krishna is the source of everything. He is the one non-dual substance, which is the source of Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. There is nothing separate from Krishna in the material and spiritual worlds because it all flows from him. There is nothing equal to Krishna. There is nothing superior to Krishna. He is the be-all and end-all. And those who know this about him, due to their fine theistic intelligence, understand that the process of worshiping him in ecstasy, bhava samanvitaha, an ecstatic mood of spontaneous devotional service, is to be done through worshiping his very self in the form of the Acharya and performing worship to Srimati Radhika, who is his finest potency and his best worshipper. The way to worship Krishna is to worship Guru and Radha. And this will please Krishna more than anything. In the lecture on Srimati Radhika's appearance day in London, Srila Prabhupada said, instead of offering the flower to Krishna, you should offer it to Radharani. And then Radharani will take the flower and bring it to Krishna, and she will say to him, this flower is from your devotee so-and-so. Such a great devotee, even better than me. He loves you so much. Please take this flower from him. This mood Prabhupada expressed in his explanation of the glories of Srimati Radhika. So this is the goal, and tomorrow we're going to see how this next verse, how he weaves this next verse into the conception. Okay, they're in Bhav, they're in Rag Marg, in these four different moods. And of those moods, consorthood is the greatest, romantica. So then that will lead into what he's going to say in the 10th verse, in which he very cleverly expresses the meaning of that verse in such a deep manner that he actually changes a word in the verse in order to get across the paramount meaning of the verse in terms of Radhadasyam. Very brilliant. And what's very interesting is my godbrother Chutananda used to live with Srila Sridhar Maharaj by the order of Srila Prabhupada. When he was living in India alone, Prabhupada wrote him a letter and said, go stay with my godbrother Srila Sridhar Maharaj, whom I consider as a Shiksha Guru. So Chutananda went to live with Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and while he was living there, Prabhupada later came to visit, and Chutananda went with Prabhupada to visit Srila Sridhar Maharaj, and when he went, the two of them were sitting up in Srila Sridhar Maharaj's room, and they told all the disciples, both of them had disciples, they told all these, you have to leave. We're going to have a discussion. So they discussed these verses. And then when Prabhupada came downstairs, the Chutananda said, what did you talk about? And he said, Prabhupada said, we talked about some verses from Bhagavad Gita. Oh, what was the discussion about? What was the discussion about? And Prabhupada said, if I told you, you would faint. Because at that time we weren't qualified to hear these things. And then Srila Sridhar Maharaj published his Gita. Now it is available for all. So Srila Narayan Maharaj also has given so much education in this area of Radhadasyam. So now we can start to get some meager understanding of these things by their mercy. So that will be all for today. We'll do the next verse on Tuesday or Wednesday. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,